Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, February 6th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready for a big Thursday NHL card, the last Thursday NHL card before the Four Nations face-off hiatus. And it is a pretty good card, not nearly as big as it normally is on a Thursday, but we still have 9 games in NHL action tonight. We'll get to those in just a moment. The first thing we want to mention, of course, it's a big Thursday on the show because it is a Patreon-exclusive live betcast Thursday night. Coming your way tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We look forward to seeing all our Patreon members and subscribers in the YouTube chat or on the stream with us, joining us here for a busy 9-game Thursday night. We'll take you through the entire slate right till the end of the late games, which tonight are Toronto, Seattle, and Vancouver, San Jose. So looking forward to a great Thursday night of action, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And again, the only way to watch and the only way to join us on the stream is to be a Patreon member. So if you haven't done so already, and you want to be there for the live betcast tonight, make sure you sign up. It's just $10 per month. Patreon.com/IceGuys. And in addition to the access to the live exclusive Patreon betcast tonight, you get our goalie charts, totals charts, the daily betting card posted on the page, side total and player props each and every day. So on all that and more, just $10 per month. And again, it goes a long way to supporting the show. $10 per month, patreon.com/IceGuys, and our live exclusive Patreon betcast tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Definitely looking forward to it. All right, we're going to rip quickly through last night, which was not a great night, I'll admit, certainly with pregame stuff. But boy, oh boy, once again, the live bets were definitely a damage minimizer for me last night in the NHL. Rangers and Bruins, 3-2 Rangers in that game. You know, I took a small over on Rangers team total over 3.5, so it was probably the worst final score it could be, 3-2 for the New York Rangers in that game. But credit to them, they responded in the third period. They gave up those 2 quick goals, and then they got the 3-2, the tying goal, courtesy of Trocheck and the shorty from Kreider to put them ahead. And then they hung on for the 3-2 win over the Boston Bruins there. Hey, I don't want to say all good things must come to an end. I was just about to say that about the the Chicago first period. It's not over yet. We're back on it next game. But it did fall short last night. We're still talking about, for Edmonton, 11-3 first period over in their last 14 games. And for Chicago, 17-3 to the first period over in their last 20 games. And if you watch that game, you can't say to yourself, well, it stayed under because it was a dull, boring game. Nothing happened. There were a shit ton of chances in that opening period. And actually, the goaltending from both Pickard and Soderblom early in that first period was really strong. But the floodgates did open. And I did take the second period goal in the first 10 minutes over 1.5 parlay, which has been something I've discovered last night at Bet365. And boy, did it pay off betting that thing. I bet it in the Boston Rangers game as well. And it got the job done. So that is definitely something that we're going to try to integrate to everybody on the betcast tonight. These great money-making opportunities that are at our disposal with these low-scoring first periods. And we certainly saw it in all 3 games last night. But the floodgates did open. Each team got on the board in the second, and then a 4-goal third period. And it ended up tied 3-3. And the good news is we at least hit the full game over, 6.5, because I did have that pregame. And Edmonton gets the win in overtime. And I jumped on Edmonton right when that penalty was called on Chicago, bench minor. How does that happen? How do you let that happen? You know you're playing the Edmonton fucking Oilers. You know that in overtime, if you take a penalty, you're giving that team a 4-on-3 power play. And that to me is just, it can't happen. You just cannot take a penalty at that time of the game. And sure enough, they pay the price. I'm like, and I remember too, another thing that I had in the back of my mind at that moment when Chicago got that bench minor in overtime, sending the Oilers to the power plays. I remember Tampa Bay beating Chicago in Chicago on an overtime power play. And I'm like, this is probably going to end right here. And so I quickly raced to bet Edmonton plus 125 to win in overtime after that penalty was called, and then 30 seconds later, game over. Zach Hyman wins it for Edmonton in overtime. So great timing with that to be able to take that, and Edmonton gets the 4-3 overtime win. I know you must have been thinking, really, guys? You know who you're playing here? This has only been one of the most lethal power plays in the NHL for the last few years, and you're going to take a bench minor in overtime. You're just asking for trouble, and they got it.
This is just another reason why Anders Sorensen won't have a job with the Hawks after April 18th. And it's not necessarily to say that he's a bad coach. I think that he will get better in time, but he doesn't have the strong enough voice in that locker room. And remember, I mentioned this when I watched those Road to the Winter Classic episodes. And you can see, and it was quite visible that Nick Foligno is the head coach of this team, and Anders Sorensen is just a glorified, older assistant, if you will. And you can't have this young group, this young core that's trying to learn and build and develop at the top level, play undisciplined hockey against a team that will absolutely murder you on the power play. And it's funny, everybody on the TNT panel said it going in the first intermission, and then, sure enough, it's the same shit every time that there was a penalty. Connor Bedard, and now I'll give you this: Connor Bedard's 2 penalties. We're talking about a guy who's 160 pounds, 170 pounds, soaking wet. And here he is bowling over Draisaitl, and Draisaitl falling like a ton of bricks. Like at that second play, we could have easily called a minor each way, because there's no way that Connor Bedard is sweeping Leon Draisaitl just clean off his feet like that. That was a little embellishment in that. So, but even with that being said, you still have to, as if you're Bedard, if you're any of those top 6 forwards, you have to keep your head, keep your discipline. The Oilers put themselves in positions to draw penalties. So you have to be aware of that. And they just simply weren't. And they didn't make those proper adjustments. Shout out to Ryan Donato for getting a great goal. And that kind of got the momentum back to even force that game to go into overtime. But there was a lot of sloppiness and a lot of things you don't want to see from this team as they're rebuilding last night. You lose 4-3 to Edmonton. That's actually on paper a really, solid. All right, you took Edmonton to overtime, and then you end up losing. A whole lot of teams get blown out by Edmonton. So to hang around with them on a night is fine. But those little mistakes just kind of loom large. And, take it on the betting aspect. Of course, the first period over falls in this game. But Calvin Pickard and Arvid Soderblom made incredible saves in the first period. They made incredible saves throughout the game. Like, this is, once again, one of these great Soderblom
6-5 that game. Yeah,
it could have. Oh, with different goals. If it's Skinner and Mrazek, that game sails over the first period, sails over the full game. Yeah, it's probably 6-5 in overtime. So and those things are going to happen. But we can't start as the end of that period happened. I got messages, I got texts, DMs, chats, everything, and everybody losing their fucking minds like this thing is dead. We're talking about a 17-3 run with the Hawks, an 11-3 run with the Oilers. I'm looking at Chris Otto's chart. Shout out to Chris Otto for providing these as always. 15-3 run with Seattle to the.
You know what it is? These people complaining. They probably upped the ante last night on the amount they put on it, and now they're just so out of sorts now because they probably jacked up the amount they put on that first period over, and now they're frustrated and they're fretting a little bit.
The goal when we find streaks.
Yeah,
is to just keep riding a streak. We're not taking the money and rolling it over every game, hoping that this thing runs to 10 or 11. The thing is just to pinpoint, this is a good price, good situation. We bet it. We keep going. But I feel like there is a lot of that. I feel like there was a lot of chasing and running around yesterday in the betting landscape. I'm not talking about just our viewers I'm in like 5 different groups, and everybody was kind of in the same boat and with different plays as well. And as we're getting to this end of the, we should be looking at this the same way we look at Thanksgiving and the same way we look at Christmas breaks. And I feel like we aren't kind of treating this the same way. There's going to be some wild variance tonight, tomorrow, all the way through Sunday because they're heading into this long break. And I think we have to kind of adjust that as such. And I kind of mentioned that yesterday. And, I get it. Yeah, it's tough. It sucks when you have, you feel great about a bet and it loses. But, like I said, we can't delve off course. We can't say, now we're going to just start betting unders with these teams because they lost one after running around and winning 17 prior. So that's just a little rant that I wanted to get into in regards to last night.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we got the second period parlay that cashed. The full game over still
Right.
hit. It ended up being
Yeah.
minimal damage for me in that
Right.
game at the end of the night. And we had the Donato goal prop, which was nice. That was good to see that because that was one of my goal props. Would have loved Slaggert and Teravainen and some of our bargain bin guys to come through.
Teravainen got robbed twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had
Yeah.
two chances he had half a goal. So
Yeah. Good bet by Mikey. Tough result. That's the way you look
Yeah.
at it with the Teravainen bargain bin. Then in the late game, well, this under, you could tell early in the game, LA gets a goal that quickly. If you're on the under, that's not exactly what you want to see. But look, an outburst for LA. 6 goals. They haven't done that very often lately, but a convincing win, 6-3 over the Montreal Canadiens. You need to see the Mike Matheson goal in the second period that tied it at 1 if you haven't seen it yet. Crazy, batshit, wild goal. It went off the backside of an LA player. It then ricocheted off the coconut, off the head of Darcy Kemper, and in. It was just absolutely bonkers. That ended up being a goal. 2 bounces off of Keister and then off a head. And then basically it went in the net after that. Crazy goal. But LA, great performance by Fiala last night. He had a great game. 2 goals for the LA Kings and a nice 6-3 victory. Tough spot for Montreal. They were on the back-to-back. And they fall 6-3. And probably the worst start Jakub Dobeš has had, especially on the road. He'd been a road warrior, but 6 goals last night for him. And Montreal, other than that narrow win against San Jose, like I said, it's been a rough run into the Four Nations break here for Montreal. Alex, anything more you want to say for last night?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's setting up now to where we might actually be getting some of those great prices with the Habs that we were getting about 3 weeks ago when the break comes around. Because had they won, think about that too. And I talked about yesterday about, like I said, this could be a rough stretch. If they had won 5 in a row here, we probably wouldn't be getting them at a plus price again for the majority of the rest of the season. And we'd be laying, now 140, 150, 160 at home instead of 110, 115, 120. So in the grand scheme of betting the Habs down the road, it's not the worst thing in the world, but man, oh man, that was a game where it was just really rough late, where it seemed like, okay, they got a goal, and now they pull within 1, then they give up a goal. I think that happened twice in the third period, where it seemed like they had some momentum to try and tie this game, and then all of a sudden, LA just gets a clean break and scores a goal. So, like I said, rough start for Dobeš. He's going to have those as a young guy. But that's a team that I know they cannot wait until the break rolls around, because they definitely need a reset and a refocus, try and get everything all geared up for a playoff run potentially down the stretch.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, there's just teams you can tell they're just leaking oil, wanting the break to get here so that they can hit the reset button and, in their case, hopefully play better hockey coming out of the break. We still have 4 days to go before the break. Let's get into the Thursday card. Of course, Betcast tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. We can't wait for that. I'm going to caution everybody right now. I have seen enough, and I have struggled enough with pregame bets the last 2 days where we're doing a tightening of the belt tonight as far as the unit amount on all of these. So I want to make note of that before we get into the first game. Everything I say I like, we're going a little bit smaller on everything tonight. That's just the way it's going to be. And especially with us having the Betcast, where I feel that, we're going to see some good live opportunities. And let's be honest, last 2-3 days for yours truly, personally, live wagers, ROI has been through the roof, and the pregame wagers have struggled. So even more reason to, let's go smaller. Let's go conservative with the pregame wagers, and let's, do more live stuff tonight on the Betcast. That's going to be certainly my approach, and looking forward to it. And like I said, the live bets the last few days have been terrific. We'll hopefully have a bunch more that stand out. Let's get into it. Utah Columbus. Utah Hockey Club -160 road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. This was already a great value price on Columbus, even before it was official that Zach Werenski is going to be back after his 1-game absence from injury for the Blue Jackets. But he will play in this game coming off that loss to Buffalo. There's still a lot of injuries for Columbus, make no mistake about it. But to be honest, Zach Werenski is one of the guys they want back the most. He's just been absolutely tremendous, especially at Nationwide Arena. His point production has been absolutely phenomenal. There's no question. Utah gets off the schneid at home. They had been awful at home, but they beat a Philadelphia Flyers team that obviously has had their offensive woes of late. 3-2 win in overtime for the Utah Hockey Club in that game. Now they start this road trip right before the Four Nations break. It appears like Connor Ingram is going to get the start here for Utah tonight. Hasn't been in the best form of late. Ingram, quite honestly, since he's been back from his previous absence. So a good stat there by Terry Ray Vegas. Columbus 5-0 at home immediately following a road loss. Yeah, I like Columbus here. Plus 140. It's a great home underdog price, in my opinion. I'm also on the full game over 5.5, but only the full game. Only the full game. Why? Because both teams have strong under first period trends right now. Both teams, in fact. And look at last night, where two of the games that went over the total ended up being games that started out slow in the first period. We had no goals, Edmonton, Chicago, first period. Game still went over the total full game. Montreal, LA, 1 goal in the first period. It went over. So we have seen first period scoring really tail off the last couple days. So you factor that, combine it with the fact Utah and Columbus have been trending to the first period under in recent games, and I'm just going with the full game over. And the reason I am is because you look at Columbus with Werenski. He drives so much from the back end offensively, helps the power play. They're a better offensive team with him. And look at Dylan Guenther being back for Utah just for one game, what it's meant to Utah. He gets 2 goals in that win against Philadelphia. So, like I said, they're a better offensive team for sure, without question, with Dylan Guenther back in the lineup. So, and plus we got goaltenders that I know Merzlikins has been better lately for Columbus. He's been really good, but I don't trust Ingram. I think Columbus scores. And I think with Guenther back in the lineup, Utah's a better offensive team. So 5.5, I do like over in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Utah, Columbus.
I'm on Jackets pregame. I got plus 135 on the money line. Like I said, can't look at first period over, and there's no reason to even pregame anyway, because of the fact, like I said, now Ingram is the reason why I would even maybe take a shot at looking live, because he could be a bit rusty and give up 2 on his own. But when you look at Utah, their scoring in the first period has been abysmal. They are last in the league in goal in the first 10 minutes. And that's something that I like to use. When I look at Chris Otto's charts, I like to use the goal in the first 10 minutes tied in with first period overs. And that kind of balances my strength of schedule, to use the term, for a first period over, or the strength of play kind of. So Utah, definitely not a team you can look at with first period overs, even pregame, but maybe something could pop up in game if Ingram looks a little shaky early. Same thing with full game over 5.5. Like the spot, but we can wait for that. We can wait and try and grab some plus money a couple minutes in the contest. But I definitely like Columbus pregame. There's a couple of money line bets I have pregame. Columbus is one of them.
Yeah, it's good value. We expect Werenski to play. They've been great at home. They're off a loss as well. And like I said, it's just it's a little a big price here for Utah, because Utah's been better on the road. Actually, that's the one thing I will say that's in the favor of Utah. And of course, getting Dylan Guenther back, huge. But they have been better on the road. But it's still, definitely a situation where we don't really still don't love them at this kind of a price, especially if Columbus is going to have Werenski available here tonight, which it's going to, what looks like it's going to be the case. They haven't ruled him in, but he was in the morning skate. They say barring any setbacks, he's going to play. There's no doubt. Yeah, the draw, I don't mind the draw. I think it's a close game. I don't think they're going to run over Utah, that's for sure. But
it's a draw situation, yeah. But I just don't, like I said, it's hard to trust Utah.
Yeah, I get that for sure. Yeah, props are mostly like Kent Johnson up front. Certainly any Werenski props. He's been a shots on goal machine at home. I know that. So shots on goal, goal prop, assist prop, they're all worth a look with Werenski if he plays. He's been at his best. He's done his most offensive damage at home this year. So I think for Utah, why not bet Dylan Guenther? He's the one guy you can really rely on and count on to score. And look, I don't think he's bargain bin price, but he's still a pretty good price, to score a goal, considering, he was the beacon of the offense already in his first game back against Philadelphia the other night. You can find Dylan Guenther here tonight on the road. Still pretty, like I said, plus 220. It's still pretty good, considering obviously how important he's been.
If you're looking to back Utah, if you're looking to support Utah at any point moving down the road, and you're looking at this kind of a price, that's probably your best bet to do, is tie Utah with Guenther anytime goal. Not exactly. That price now, especially at home when we know they struggle. So
yeah, good chance when Utah wins, Dylan Guenther is part of the reason why. Exactly. All right, Washington, Philadelphia. We got the Capitals minus 160, road favorites, 5.5 the total. Big news here is the goaltending matchup. It'll be Charlie Lindgren tonight for the Washington Capitals. Ivan Fedotov here for Philadelphia. This is another one. I'm on pregame, full game over 5.5 here, but only full game. Because, again, Philadelphia is another team where, A, they've struggled to score lately, and B, It is a Philadelphia team that in the first period, they've kind of been trending to lower scoring games as well. So this could be another game like with Utah Columbus where the game maybe opens up later in the game, not so much early, and 4 straight first period unders for the Philadelphia Flyers going into this game tonight. That being said, Washington's starting to get their offense cranked up again. 3 straight Washington games have gone over in the full game going into this matchup. So like I said, this is going to be over 5.5 for me. I'm not betting against the Capitals, but I'm not laying minus 160 with them starting Lindgren and net. So it's a pass for me on the side, just over 5.5 pregame. We'll definitely look at some stuff live for sure, because this could be another one of those games where I cash my pregame over with the Columbus game, with this game, but maybe we got no score, 1-0 after the first period in this game, the Utah Columbus game, and then we got a chance to try this theory out that's been magic here the last couple nights with these parlays of second period over and second period goal in the first 10 minutes, which you're going to see in action here tonight on this betcast. Alex, what do you think here? Washington, Philadelphia.
So yeah, this is a game that I'm waiting a lot for live. Like you said, maybe this could be a game that feels like where we get that 1-0 kind of spot in the first, and then we can jump in on the second period looks. I will have one thing pregame because I have to fade Philly. Philly's awful. And this is a good Caps team, but a little bit high of a price. So I'm tying Caps minus 160 money line with Alex Ovechkin to score a goal plus 125. Turns into a 2-leg parlay of plus 190. So that's the way I'm betting that pregame, but everything else I'll be adding will be in game.
Yeah, I'm on that, Jonathan Davis. Great call. Ovechkin last goal. We got to start betting that, no doubt. Got to start betting
I was talking about that a while ago. Yeah, I'll be on that for sure pregame as well. So Ovechkin last goal and anytime goal.
Especially as he gets closer to this record, and he's closing in on it now, the Wayne Gretzky goal scoring record. So like I said, the last goal, and you're going to get great prices like plus 850, plus 900 range, with Ovechkin to get the last goal of the game. It is absolutely now they've padded it a little bit, obviously, but still, you're a great price. It's worth a shot still, because they're going to look for him every time it's an empty net situation.
It's worth it all the way down to what I mean. Plus 200, plus 300, and even then, at that point, it'd probably be, we're talking about him 2-3 goals away from the record. So this is something that's just kind of worth betting. Even if you put $5, $2 on it, it's just worth having in pocket, because it's more than likely going to be a situation. If Washington's winning, number 8 is going to be on the ice.
Exactly. There's no, and they will feed him the puck too. In those situations late in the game with the empty net as they try to protect.
He'll be cherry picking basically. Like you won't even see him really trying to struggle to play. He's gonna be at the top of the blue line, just waiting for the puck to bop out and just break away. So yeah.
I don't know what's going on with these two guys they got from Calgary, Jacob Pelletier and Andrei Kuzmenko, but neither one is apparently making their debut tonight. What's taking so long? What the fuck's going on?
Could be visa issues.
Probably is, right? Actually.
Yes, that's more than likely. Yeah.
Yeah, but neither one ready to make their debut here.
And I feel like there's something specifically with Calgary. I remember a couple of years ago during the trade deadline, there were issues with guys being moved from Calgary, like had a couple of days with their visas. So I don't know if I don't know if there's got some kind of issue in Alberta with their visa stuff or whatever, but I think that might be the reason.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some truth to that. All right, next up, we've got these two teams again for the second straight time in the same building, still at Amalie Arena in Tampa Bay. Ottawa and Tampa Bay once again after they played here in Tampa on Tuesday night. We've got Tampa minus 160 home favorites, 5.5 the total, shaded to the over here in this game. Lots to talk about injury-wise. It looks like for Tampa, Nick Paul was questionable, but he is good to go. Anthony Cirelli, though, out for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So that's a big loss. There are going to be some changes in the lineup here tonight for John Cooper. Notably, Cam Atkinson getting a shot to ride shotgun along with Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov on the top line for Tampa Bay. So they're going to put Cam Atkinson up there with Point and Kucherov. Hagel, Gensel, and Gage Gonsalves is going to end up moving up to the second line. So Gensel, Hagel, and Gonsalves, a little bit of a different look here for Tampa Bay in this game here tonight. Andrei Vasilevsky getting yet another start, but it is not going to be Linus Ullmark for Ottawa. They are going with Anton Forsberg, who, believe it or not, has been very good. 3-0 in his last 3 starts. He's played extremely well. Beat Nashville, beat Toronto in 2 of his last 3 starts. He's played better in net, so And Travis Green, even though Allmark came back against Tampa Bay on Tuesday, he had been alternating between Allmark and Forsberg before the Allmark injury. So not surprising that he's going back to Forsberg, especially because Forsberg's played better lately. For Ottawa, they are a little shorthanded and depleted down the middle at the center position. That does concern you. They already had Josh Norris out, and Shane Pinto, our guy, Parlay Pinto, here is going to be out tonight. So a little bit of a shakeup down the middle. Ridley Gregg, Timmy Stutzla, Zach Ostapchuk, and they're going to, I think, experiment with maybe Martin Palo, who's actually been playing D for Ottawa in a fourth-line center role here. So that is concerning if you're going to bet Ottawa here. I had locked in Ottawa overnight. I got to admit, I'm a little leery of it now. But I like the revenge spot. I certainly like the price plus 140 on Ottawa, but I don't like it as much with the injuries down the middle for the Sens. But I am still on Ottawa plus 140. Small bet. Everything's smaller across the board. This one's really small, but keep that in mind. Ottawa plus 140. I'll say this, first period under. I'm going to take a small shot on that. First period under. Both of these teams have been trending that way. Ottawa 5 straight. Tampa 5 straight. First period unders. These two teams are also combined 18-4 to the first period under in their last however many games. 18-4 in their last 22 games combined to the first period under. And you know what's good about this? We see this time and time again. We saw it with Bruins Rangers last night. Bruins Rangers played Saturday in Boston. High scoring game, went over the total. Rematch last night at Madison Square Garden stays under. It ended 3-2 Rangers. Tuesday night, with Ottawa Tampa, game goes over the total. It ended 4-3 Tampa. They're playing each other 2 nights later, 48 hours later, oftentimes over in the first meeting, and they're playing in a short period of time, the same two teams. It'll usually go the opposite. So over on Tuesday night, I'm thinking this goes under here tonight, Senators, and I'd lean full game under as well, but I'm specifically zoning in on the first period under. Here, and noting that first period unders are what, 18-2 or 19-2 first period under run this week in the NHL, which is absolutely massive. And again, 5 straight first period unders for both teams. A high scoring game between them the other night. I think it goes the other way a little bit here tonight. So yeah, first period under. Sign me up. Shocking, I know. Alex, what do you think here? Ottawa, Tampa Bay.
This is one I have circled where I'm going to be looking at Tampa Bay. If they go down a goal, betting them in game. This is I think it could be a great Metcast game. Even if you like Ottawa, I think this could be one where we do see some goals later in the contest, but there could be spots to grab plus money either way. So, like I said, it should be a fun one. And this is one where I do have a draw. There's only a couple of games tonight where I have the draw. At pregame, this is one where I do have the draw. Both teams in the same division, both teams needing points. This is a draw season kind of a spot. So, draw, pregame, and then, like I said, looking to grab Tampa Bay live on the money line.
Yeah, there's for Ottawa, Gaudette scored against Nashville. Amadio's playing on the second line. Perron's on the second. I like Ridley Gregg, especially centering Giroux and Tkachuk. Those are some Ottawa props I'd be interested in. For Tampa, you got to bet Cam Atkinson. I know Cam Atkinson has not been the Cam Atkinson of years ago when he was with Columbus, but he's going to get a chance to play with Kucherov and Point. He's worth a bet as far as props go just because of that. Gonçalves as well, maybe with Gensel and Hagel. Gensel can make a mop look good on the ice, so maybe he gets Gonçalves involved in the offense as well and gets him on the board. All right, let's roll along here on this Thursday card. I've got an appointment next hour, so we're keeping a brisk pace here today on the show. Vegas and New Jersey, we've got pretty much even money here, actually. Vegas minus 115, road favorites. The total in this game sitting at 5.5, 5.5 flat pretty much across the board here, even money in this one. So Vegas is not playing well right now. We know that. They've already lost the first 2 games of this road trip to the Rangers and the Islanders. The sense of urgency is certainly ramping up for this group, and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help, I should say, either that, Tanner Pearson, William Karlsson, they've got a few injuries, but nevertheless, they have not played great hockey, and it's been this way for quite some time. Now, the question is, when are they going to snap out of it? That's going to be something you have to ask yourself here. But the offense is dried up. The goaltending has not been overly impressive or consistent from either Adin Hill or Ilya Samsonov. Adin Hill's going to get the start here for Vegas tonight. Nico Dawes is projected to be the starting goalie for New Jersey. I'm not shocked by that. Sheldon Keefe giving him a chance to show what he can do again. He was really good against Pittsburgh, especially in the overtime and in the shootout, being able to get that victory in that game for the New Jersey Devils against Pittsburgh. And I said this on Tuesday that, to me, there's not much difference between Jake Allen and Nico Daws. In fact, I think there's part of me that says I trust Nico Daws a little bit more. So Nico Daws in net here for the Devils. You got Vegas, a team that's been certainly during this skid that they've been on, where they've gone just 2-8 in their last 10 games. I mean, they've been held to just 4 goals in their last 3 games combined. 3 goals in the first 2 games of this road trip. This could be another under bet for me, or an under lean at the very least for me here with Vegas and New Jersey going into this game. But this is definitely going to be more of a live betting game for me on the BetCast here tonight. I do think for Vegas, it's got to be backs against the wall, desperation, sense of urgency. I'll be honest, if this was Jake Allen tonight, confirmed in net for New Jersey, I probably would have bet Vegas, or at least would have bet Vegas team total over 2.5, because noting that Jake Allen, aside from the 1 shutout against Philadelphia, has given up 3 goals or more in the majority of his starts. But with Nico Daws in net, and he looked pretty solid against Pittsburgh, I'm probably going to lay off Vegas. Keep in mind for New Jersey, they do have injuries. Siegenthaler on the blue line's out. Nico Hischier's done for the rest of the NHL schedule until after the Four Nations face-off. But he's on IR, the captain, and he's one of the best two-way players in the NHL. Certainly the best one on this hockey team. And having him out is certainly something that's going to hurt the New Jersey Devils moving forward. So, we'll see if Vegas can rise up to the occasion here. I have to see it before I believe it. I'm still not ready to bet him as a road favorite. So definitely a live game for me on the BetCast tonight. Alex, what do you think here? Golden Knights, Devils.
I took a small piece with Vegas at -115 because once I saw that Nico Daws was going to be started, I want him to prove to me that he can do that again. He did it against Pittsburgh, where a team we know that can be up and down and flighty. And Vegas, like I said, he should be able to beat them. If Vegas, the way that they're playing right now, they're in such poor form. If Nico Daws is at the level now where he's NHL ready, be a solid backup behind Jacob Markstrom, and like I said, Jake Allen's not much to write home about, then okay, he should be able to win this game. I want him to prove it to me. So I'm laying Vegas -115. I also will be looking at some stuff in game. I took a little bit of the draw just because of history. 3 of the last 4 meetings have gone past regulation. We just saw New Jersey's last game go to overtime. And Vegas is at 2 of their last 4 go past regulation. So +325. I grabbed a little piece of Vegas, or a little piece of draw, and at -115, a little piece of Vegas, but I'll add some more on in game.
All right, there we go. Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think, look, we cannot overreact to one game. I agree with that part of it for Nico Daws. He was very good against Pittsburgh. We still think Vegas, even with their recent struggles, Vegas is a better hockey team than Pittsburgh. So, we'll see what he can do here tonight. I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of with a lot of the people in the chat as far as I'm leaning to the Golden Knights in this spot. But I want to see how it starts. Maybe New Jersey jumps. The one thing, too, Vegas has been bad lately, giving up the first goal. I mean, really bad. So maybe we get Vegas live at plus money during the game. That could be something. Then I move on Vegas if they become plus money, I think, at any point here tonight in this game. But like I said, certainly for Vegas, you'd expect a desperation effort. You can't keep going like this, the remainder of these last few games going into the break. You need a tide turner, and we'll see if they can get that done here tonight. All right, Carolina and Minnesota. We've got Carolina -190, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. This is that rare double system play. Both teams off a shutout loss. And for Minnesota, this is the super system play because they're off back-to-back shutout losses against Ottawa and Boston. So, yeah, I'm on it. Over by Fecta here. It's not been great the last few days with the system plays, but we're still on it. The overall numbers are still highly profitable. There's not much more to add than that. And, you look at this game, too, with Carolina and Minnesota tonight. Gustafson's going to be in net for the Wild. He has not been nearly as great, I would say, the last 2 weeks to a month as far as his performance. And Freddie Anderson's projected here for Carolina tonight. And you know what it's like with him since he's been back from the injury. Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what you're going to get. What did he do? Shut out the New York Rangers? And then what happened after that? He struggled and he gave up a bunch of goals right after that in his next start. You don't know what you're going to get from Freddie Anderson right now. So, yeah, over by Fecta here, over 1.5 first period, over 5.5 full game. Alex, what do you think here? Hurricanes Wild.
Ian, I'm taking a page from your book. I'm going to get a little greedy live. I'm targeting plus 110 for first period over, plus 115 for full game over with these numbers because we're already seeing them virtually. I'm seeing minus 102 at FanDuel for the first period over. So that puck drop, that'll literally be even money. So we definitely will be rolling with those with the system, but there's no reason to bet it pregame, in my opinion. I think we can get plus money on both spots, and then we can make any other adjustments after.
Especially with the slow scoring first periods we've had. Yep.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. I get it totally. Yeah, I get it. And this might be one where I actually skew a little more to the full game over with the system than the first period over, given what we've seen in the last few days.
If we see, this is one where if we see low scoring in the first period, I may not jump on the second period looks so much as just targeting over 4.5.
Yeah,
at a better price.
No doubt. Another thing that concerns me too is Minnesota's played this friggin'. If you're John Hines, I get it. When you're on that road trip, you got to play a little bit tighter. There's no Kirill Kaprizov, who's obviously a huge part of your offense. But at some point now, look, man, I'm talking to you now, John Hines. You've been shut out now in back-to-back games. You can't fucking win if you can't score. Like, open things up a little bit tonight, just for one night. You got to get your offense going. You can't win any games if you're going to get shut out. And this back-to-back games now that the Minnesota Wild have been shut out in. So let's see some aggression here offensively tonight from this team, which clearly we have not seen much of here. Like, they've played like a snail in these last few games. The Ottawa game, even the Montreal game they won, they didn't generate all that much. Toronto game, they're playing this tighten it up, devil-style hockey, and I get why they've done that during the road trip. But now you're back home. You've been shut out twice. Like, let's at least try to put on a show. Let's open it up just a little bit. You got to score if you're going to win right now. So that's my call to John Hines. Let's see a little more aggressiveness now with the puck tonight in this game against Carolina. All right, next up as we continue along here on this Thursday NHL card, we got Florida and St. Louis. Florida here, pretty sizable road favorite. The total minus 170, total 5.5 in this game. This is one where I lean over. I like Florida team total over, though. 3.5 plus 115 or so. You get them off the loss to Washington, which, look, Capitals hadn't lost 3 in a row. Capitals were a very good hockey team. Florida was at the White House the day before. It kind of was the perfect recipe, perfect combination for maybe Florida to have a tough game there in Washington against the Capitals. And now, obviously, they're looking to bounce back here. St. Louis has certainly come back down to earth a little bit. Florida, and look, Joel Hofer in net has had a rough time the last few starts. A lot of his starts, he's given up 4. He's given up 5. He gave up 5 goals, Joel Hofer, last Friday against Colorado. And you look back when Florida has won games recently, a majority of their wins, they have scored at least 4 goals. That's something I look for now. When I want to back a team and their team total instead of the money line, I want to know if you've been getting to 4 goals more often than not when you've been winning games. And Florida has been doing that. So Florida for me here, team total over 3.5 at plus money, I think is pretty good. I lean to the over by Fecta 2 in this one, first period over, full game over. I'll probably sprinkle on that, smaller on that to go with the Panthers team total over 3.5. Alex, what do you think here? Florida, St. Louis.
Yeah, this is one where I like over by Fecta a little bit pregame, but add a little bit more on to cross into in game. And like you said, Joel Hofer. It's funny, I haven't heard any rumblings of St. Louis trying to get better goaltending. In the time, and now it seems like it might be a little too late for them in the playoff race. But in the last 2-3 weeks of trade rumors floating around, there was never anything of St. Louis trying to upgrade their goaltending. Joel Hofer is certainly not a backup that you want if you're trying to make a run in the playoffs and you want to give Binnington some nights off to rest. You need a better backup, and certainly not with Binnington, because Binnington is one of the 3 in the 4 nations, right? He's going to be a goalie in that. So
yeah, he'll be there.
You think St. Louis? Even with that, you just think St. Louis would maybe try and upgrade that number 2 goalie spot, just so even if you have a puncher's chance in the wild card race, you got another goalie that you can trust. Hofer's not the guy. So team total with Florida, I might tell you on that as well.
That's a great stat, Jonathan. I knew off the top of my head, Florida, most of their wins, they score 4. 25 of their 32 wins, this season, they have
more
scored at
goals.
least 4 goals.
Wow.
That's exactly the practice and the that's what we tell you when you're talking about a bigger favorite. Why lay minus 170 when you can get plus money on Florida team total over 3.5? When 25 of the 32 times they've won this year, they've scored at least 4 goals. So makes all the sense in the world. Don't lay minus 170. Take Florida team total over 3.5. It's the better option. And it's, man, does it save your bankroll and preserve it long term? Yep. When you go that route, no question about it. All right, Colorado and Calgary next up here at the Saddle Dome. We've got Colorado minus 160 road favorites. The total here 6 for the most part. There are some books that have 5.5. So make sure you shop around. If you like the under, get a 6. If you like the over, get 5.5. So we'll see how it plays out here. This is another system play. You got to bet it. Colorado's off a shutout loss, so it is over by Fecta here for me, over 1.5, over 5.5 here. Probably one where I'm going to put either 60-40, 70-30 percentage split more on the full game because of how low scoring the first periods have been here the last few days. But definitely on this over by Fecta with Colorado off the shutout loss, so it's assist to Vancouver, so it's a system play. And by the way, Thatcher Demko was terrific. It's not that Colorado didn't generate. It's that Thatcher Demko had just an outstanding game. They had their chances, Colorado, but definitely Thatcher Demko was phenomenal in that 3-0 shutout win. Calgary, are they starting to come back down to earth? We've talked about how well they've played at the Saddle Dome, but at the Saddle Dome of late, they lose to Washington. They did beat Anaheim, but they lose back-to-back home games to Detroit and Toronto. So starting to, maybe come back down to earth a little bit. Dustin Wolf has erased a lot of mistakes, I guess you could say, for this Calgary Flames team. But then against Toronto the other night, you see what happens when Dustin Wolf gets shelled a little bit, and gives up 5 goals like he did against the Leafs. They don't win. Dustin Wolf has been such a he has been the reason that Calgary, is sniffing around a wild card spot right now, because I don't think the team is great, and I still don't trust their back end. Like, they got an old man Tyson Barrie on that back end right now. You can't tell me that's an above average defense score right now for the Calgary Flames on that blue line. To me, it isn't. So you're definitely seeing them wilt a little bit. This is Colorado or pass for me. I'm going to take a small Colorado team total over 3.5 here. They have scored 4 or more in back-to-back times. They've gone to the Saddle Dome. Now, I don't love it that Wolf's in net and in a bounce-back mode after one of his worst games of the season against Toronto. He's a great young goalie. We've talked about that ad nauseum, and maybe he plays a great game, but I still feel the better teams, the better offenses, Wolf can only do so much. He's got a mediocre blue line in front of him, and at some point, good teams are going to be able to beat him because he just can't, stand on his head every night. And you got Colorado off the shutout. So I am going to jump in with a small Avalanche team total over 3.5 to go with the system play. Alex, what do you think here? Colorado, Calgary.
Yeah, I like this first period over, and this is one where I have a little bit small pregame and a little bit more in game. Like I said, Dustin Wolf, for as fantastic as he's been, and for, like I said, as good as he's been to Calgary and kept them, like I said, afloat in the wild card race. What people say in the chat is true. He needs a little bit of a rest and a respite. And this could be one of those games where just a spot where I think we can see goals. And I don't like I said, Colorado is more likely going to win this game, but I'm not laying 160. If you like Colorado, your team total over is the best way to go about it. But I think we do see some goals early here. So minus $1.10, I'm seeing at Caesars. I'll play that a little bit small, and then as it crosses the plus money in game, we'll jump in.
I'm shocked that Ryan Uska's not resting him. You're going to burn this kid out. And I know the break is coming up. Maybe that's part of the thinking, but still, I mean, he's already showing that, this is a lot of games now in a row for this kid. Overall, the numbers are still great. 2.58 goals against, 914 save percentage. But look at just the last 4 games. 11 goals on 107 shots. His save percentage has fallen below 900 in the last 4 starts, Dustin Wolf. 897 save percentage for him in the last 4 starts. That might be a sign of burnout.
And that might be, but keep in mind too, now it's a little different of a situation with him because he's had a lot of, the bulk of starts, in his AHL career, where this is not like a guy who's, always just been playing 20, 25 games and all of a sudden now he's going to be getting thrown into the 40, 50 game threshold. So I think there's a little different. So maybe that's where Huskers, like I said, break on deck. he could still play another game. But down the road, and certainly if you start winning games and get closer into the wild card race, once again, it's another team you might want to look at upgrading, because do you really want to trust Vladar on a night where you need a win, but also you need to give Wolf a rest? That's the other issue that Calgary has.
No, I think there's some truth to that for sure. Prop wise tonight, like I said, you would expect, you Drew and Natchez, Lehkonen, McKinnon, rely on the big guns to get it done. I like the angle with Cale Makar. Cale Makar is an Alberta kid going to Calgary here. He'll always get amped up to play there. Wouldn't shock me to see him maybe be more aggressive shooting the puck. Maybe he does pot one here tonight. He's right from Calgary, by the way. No suburbs. He is right from the city of Calgary. So, he'll be amped up to play tonight. I think the Makar goal prop is worth a look. Great call by Kay, or a great find there that it's Adam Gaudette's birthday for Ottawa. So, and I already liked Adam Gaudette at plus 550 to score a goal. So, like I said, not bad at all as far as going in that direction for a goal prop. All right, next up, we've got the first of the two real late games on the slate tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, Toronto and Seattle. The Leafs minus 165. Road favorites at Climate Pledge Arena. The total here 6 across the board, shaded to the over in this game. Seattle's not backable to me right now. They're just not playing well. The struggle obviously continues with the loss to Detroit. And what's maddening right now about Seattle? They have games where they don't score and they lose 2-1, 3-1. And then they get 4 goals the other night against Detroit, but they give up 5 and they lose in a shootout. And obviously the great goal by Patrick Kane in that game. So very, very tough to back Seattle right now. But that being said, I don't know if I love this spot, and I want to fade Seattle, but I don't want to do it at this price. Minus 165. Toronto's already won the first 2 games of this road trip. Edmonton, Calgary. Obviously, they got Vancouver, a place they never win, by the way, coming up on Saturday. So it's a bit of a, I don't want to say flat spot, but it's a spot where do we get Toronto's A game for sure? I'm not going to say that we do 100% with, certainty. And even if we don't get it, is Seattle good enough to capitalize on it? Because Toronto's dummied them. Toronto has won 4 straight head-to-head meetings, 6-1 all time, the Leafs, against the Seattle Kraken since Seattle entered the league. So it's been all Toronto pretty much in this series. They've won the first 2 games of this trip. They were talking that maybe Anthony Stolarz would make his return from injury tonight. It is Joey Decord for Seattle. We can confirm that. And another thing about Decord, there's another guy playing a shit ton of games because Grubauer shit the bed so bad. Dan Bilesma's got no chance but to throw Decord out there every game, and his play is suffering right now. His play has declined just a little bit. He gets lit up by Calgary, lit up by Detroit. So that's not what you want to see. A little bit of a downward trend in Joey Decord for the Seattle Kraken. He'll get another start tonight because they have no other options. That's why. And it is confirmed for Toronto. He will make his return. Anthony Stolarz, Stoli the goalie, who we have not seen in months for Toronto, who was, I think, in the Vezina running, quite honestly, with how well he was playing before the injury. His first start back in some time. Oh, man, although Joseph Wool's been really good, and Stolar's great before his injury, but you know how I often feel. Sometimes the goalie in the first game back after, and this is a long absence for Anthony Stolarz. We haven't seen him in months. Is he going to be on top of his game? Is he going to be at his absolute best, tip-top form? Stolarz, first game in a long time. I'm not so sure about that. I'm still going to bet that what I already bet, and that's the first period over. Well, I already bet it. I'm still going to recommend it, is what I should say. Over by Fecta, with this one being skewed to the first period over. Because, look, this Seattle first period over run, we've talked about it. It's been pretty legendary, almost as legendary as Chicago's. It's getting to that point. 15-3 to the first period over for Seattle in their last 18 games. So I think this one certainly has goals early. Maybe Toronto a little flat-footed off 2 big wins in Alberta. Seattle pots one early. Toronto certainly should score against Seattle, especially if you look at their offense and their power play are back on the beam again with Matthew Nyes and John Tavares back in the lineup. So I think we see goals, first period over, full game over for me here, Leafs and Kraken. Alex, what do you think here, Toronto, Seattle?
Yeah, this is over by factor for me, but it's all in-game. So like I said, but this is kind of a we're seeing 125, 130. So yeah, waiting for $1.10 or better on the first period over. Try and get maybe a 5.5, laying $1.25 or $1.30 as opposed to 6 in the plus range. But yeah, definitely, like I said, Stolarz was looking fantastic before he went down with injury, but you wonder there could be a little bit of rust. And like I said, with Seattle, you can't trust DeCord or Grubauer or pretty much any goalie they throw out right now. So this one could get up and over the total, I think, probably with ease. This might be one of the better totals of the entire night.
I think so, especially that first period over, because I think it was Austin Goebel, and I'm going to assume he's correct on this because it sure feels like it's been that lopsided. 19-2 to the first period under the last few days in the NHL. Do you know what one of those two first period overs was? Seattle. Seattle in their last game against Detroit on Tuesday night. That was probably one of the two first period overs that we've actually had cash here this week. So yeah, like I said, first period overrun's been great for Seattle. I certainly like that. I don't mind people taking a shot with Seattle at the plus money in this spot. They are getting a very rich home dog price, but I just don't like their form enough to trust them. And but at the same time, the Leafs are laying a hefty number, and who knows what Stolarz brings. If it's Stolarz ready to play like he did before his injury, good luck for Seattle. They're going to need it, winning this hockey game. But if Stolarz is a little bit rusty, as Alex said he might be, then it does open the door a little bit. So, like I said, it's all the more reason why it's a great betcast type of game, because we'll be able to see these things live as the game unfolds. Does Stolarz look sharp? Does he look dialed in? No rust? Or does he look a little bit shaky? We're going to be able to see that early in the game tonight here on the betcast. Prop-wise, I would say I still like, Kakko Beniers for Seattle. For Toronto, talk about it all over and over again, but Bobby McMahon, Matthew Nyes, it's like I'm going back and recycling the same goal props. I still think, even though, and Marner, I believe, is going to be missing this game once again as well for the Leafs. Let me just see if I've got an update on him. Oh, no, he is back. He's available for this game. So there you go. It looks like Mitch is good to go for the Toronto Maple Leafs after he obviously missed the Calgary game in the last game. So that's obviously significant, getting Mitch Marner back. But like I said, that is big. I wasn't sold on him being back tonight, but he will be for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Mitch Marner back in the fold. Because I was going to say, if Marner's out, Max Domi alongside Matthews and Nyes might be worth a look, but there's no doubt Marner's going to go back to that top line spot with Matthews and Nyes tonight now that he's playing. So never mind. All right, next up, we've got Vancouver and San Jose. Final game of this Thursday slate. Vancouver, -200 road favorites. The total here sitting at, looks like 5.5 shaded to the over in this game. This is a dilemma game for me. And this is one of those games where my lean is Vancouver team total over 3.5. And the reason for that is San Jose's given up 4 goals to every team they have played for like the last 2-3 weeks, except for Pittsburgh. That one game where they won 2-1. Other than that, look at it. Every game, San Jose's given up 4 goals. They gave up 4 again to Montreal the other night. Best bet for me on the show was Montreal team total over 3.5 in that game. Canucks team total it feels like it makes a ton of sense. But the problem is Vancouver seems hell-bent, and no Quinn Hughes matters. It does affect their offense, no question about it, not having him to move that puck, quarterback the power play. When you look at Vancouver, look at these last 10 games. They have scored 1, 3, 2, 2, 2. One game where they did get 5 at St. Louis, then 3, 3, 2, and 3. They're not scoring 4 goals very much these days. And Rick Tocchet kind of has them in this mode where take care of the defensive zone, find a way to grind it out and win 2-1, 3-1. That's the one thing, Alex, that's hanging me up here on taking Vancouver's team total over. They're not playing an over pace. They're not playing an over style right now, Vancouver, at this point in time. Play good D, get good goaltending from Demko, who I believe after the gem he put out there against Colorado, shutting out the Abs, I would expect him to be the starting goaltender tonight. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but I would expect Thatcher Demko to be in net. And yes, it will not be Alexander Georgiev tonight in net for San Jose, but is this guy any better? Vitek Vanacek, who we have not seen in months, is going to get the start here for the San Jose Sharks, because if it's the Vitek Vanacek that we got December 14th and prior, he's not much of an upgrade at all from Alexander Georgiev. 3-8, 3.84 goals against average, .885 save percentage for Vitek Vanacek, who will make his return and start for the San Jose Sharks tonight. I want to take Vancouver team total so bad. I really do. But what I might do, and I lean that way pregame, obviously, what I might do, Alex, is look, San Jose did put a shutout on the board against Montreal in the first period of the game Tuesday. Remember? And I got frustrated. I was fit to be tied. I'm like, are you shitting me? This Montreal team against Georgiev can't even score a goal in the first period. But I missed an opportunity to bet a live team total with Montreal, and I should have. And I said, you know what? I'll just stick with my pregame bet. It all worked out well because the full game team total went over. They scored 4. That might be the approach for me here. Maybe Vancouver doesn't get on the board in the first period. Maybe San Jose digs in for Vanacek, his first period back in a long time. But I do think at some point Vancouver does maybe bust the floodgates at least a little bit. So rather than a pregame Vancouver team total over, which I do lean with, maybe an in-game Vancouver team total. If it starts out a little bit slower, San Jose has that shockingly good first period defensively, like they had against Montreal. So that might be the approach. Let's see if maybe we get a better number and price with Vancouver team total live, just in case San Jose has a decent defensive start, which they were able to against Montreal. Alex, final game. What do you think here? Canucks, Sharks.
Yeah, being that this will be the last game of the night, this will be one that I can kind of wait for. And like I said, now especially we're seeing Vitek Vanacek officially back in. I definitely want to see how his form is going to be. Someone was asking about his didn't have any really AHL numbers. He just went 1-0 and gave up 2 goals in one game. He had 1 conditioning game, so nothing of sorts like he was down there that long. He was just kind of just getting over the injury. So yeah, this is a wait and see spot for me.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, Perlo, I get it with the first period for the Canucks. My concern is San Jose actually had a good first period for a change against Montreal, and maybe Vancouver, it takes them a while to get going. I think that happened too. I remember a Vancouver-San Jose game too, where it was a slow start for Vancouver, and then they got going. I can't remember when it was, but I do remember seeing one of those. So something to keep in mind here moving forward. Let's see if the lineups, because I'm just looking at a couple things. Connor Garland's been great, of late. So I don't mind. Drew O'Connor and a Hedl, I think, might be worth a look for Vancouver. The 2 new Canucks, I think they've played pretty well the first few games. And then for San Jose, we'll have to see if he's in the lineup tonight. He may not. He is. He's still on the second line. Our guy Podorowski, I'm not giving up on him. It was only 1 game. He's still going to be on the second line with Will Smith and Fabian Zetterlund. Celebrini, Toffoli, and Eklund have actually played quite well for San Jose the last few games together. So, but definitely a Podorowski might give him another shot here to find the back of the net. Great stuff. Again, a little quicker paced today because we got somewhere to be in the next 15 minutes. But shout out to everyone watching and on YouTube and in the chat. Hit the like button. And again, just like we mentioned earlier in the show, Patreon exclusive live betcast tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you join us. And the only way to join us to watch the betcast or on the stream is to become a Patreon member, just $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. Join us for the betcast tonight by becoming a Patreon member, and you get access to all the bonus content as well. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting card, sides totals, and player props posted each day on the Patreon page. $10 per month. Your subscription helps support the show. Patreon.com/iceguys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got a bunch of new merch. We've got everything in stock right now as well. So check that on out right now, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
There you go. Recent Vancouver, that last Vancouver, yeah, there it is, 0-0 after the first period. So there you go. Which means might be second period gift, second period over 1.5 parlay time in that game if it ends up being scoreless after the first period tonight. We'll have to wait and see on that. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page.
Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin. Wow, Vanacek, 0-8-5, first money line. So 8 losses, 5 ties in the first period with Vanacek starting tonight.
Yikes.
First Vanacek starting for San
Sorry,
Jose.
this season,
So 9-5 to the over in the first period with Vanacek in net. So there you go. Something to consider for the betcast tonight for sure. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Man, we had a couple of near misses there for Teuvo Teravainen for Mikey's.
Yeah.
That was the one that got the closest to coming through for us last night. Alex, what do you like for this Thursday for bargain bin special?
Well, it was Vanessa Williams who's saying, save the best for last. We're hoping for the last goal to come from one of the best goal scorers to ever do it. Alex Ovechkin, last goal, plus 850 available at FanDuel. That's the Washington game tonight. So Alex Ovechkin to get the last goal. That's my bargain bin special for Thursday.
There we go. Alex Ovechkin, the last goal of the game for the Washington Capitals, plus 850 range or so for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night, great price to play with guys like Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov. Who am I to turn it down? Cam Atkinson here for the Tampa Bay Lightning, plus 650 is one hell of a price considering his spot in the lineup tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So plus 650 for that with Cam Atkinson for Tampa Bay for my best bet, or not best bet, my bargain bin special of the night here for this Thursday NHL slate. All right, now it's time for best bets. Alex, what do you like here for best bet?
Yeah, give me Colorado, Calgary, first period over. You can get minus $1.10 right now at Caesars with that. I like that to go over 1.5. I think we see some goals. Colorado's in that mode where they think they're going to get that offense rolling. And Calgary, like I said, defense and Dustin Wolf in particular, it's been just a kind of a little shaky, especially early in games. So as Flames, first period over is my Thursday best bet.
All right, there you go. First period over. Colorado, Calgary. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. My best bet for this Thursday slate. Let's go to that. Let's go to that Toronto, Seattle over 6. We'll do that. We'll do full game. I like first period too, but we'll do full game. Over 6 minus 112. Leafs and Kraken. I think we see goals. I like first period over, obviously, as well, with the great 15-3 run for the Seattle Kraken in the first period over, but we'll go with Leafs Kraken first period over. Or no, Leafs Kraken full game over, I should say. We'll do full game for best bet. Just because I've been a little leery of how low scoring these first periods have been this week. But I do think if there's one game that's going to go over in the first period, it's this Seattle game. But to make it official for best bet, we will roll with the full game over for this one. So Toronto, Seattle, over 6 minus 112 for best bet here for this Thursday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We cannot wait for the live betcast just a few hours from now, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Sign up at patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 a month, and be there with us for the Patreon exclusive live betcast.
One thing I got to add, too, shout out to Addison, our guy. He did a bingo card specifically for this betcast tonight, so that link will also be posted at Patreon. So please make sure to have that bookmarked and saved and play along a little bingo. Make it a little fun and interesting as well. Maybe we'll give away a prize. I might look into maybe give it some away if somebody gets the first coverall. So definitely join us for that.
I mean, come on, as if drinking with your favorite beverage and watching hockey and placing live bets and doing it with a bunch of great people, as if that wasn't reason enough to sign up at Patreon and join us on the Betcast. We're going to have Betcast bingo now. Are you kidding? I mean, my goodness, you got to be there now. That's just the icing on the cake right there. Yep. Exactly. So it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. We can't wait. Looking forward to the Betcast tonight. Make sure you join us 7 p.m. Eastern time. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. And just quickly, Alex, you can touch on it. Rest in peace, Virginia McCaskey, owner of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, 102 years old. She lived a long and great life. Survived. She was a wife and she was a mom, grandmother. Had great grandkids as well. So thoughts and condolences, of course, with the McCaskey family. And it's a tough loss. The second owner ever for the Bears. So now the Bears will have their third owner at some point.
No doubt. Rest in peace to Virginia McCaskey, and condolences to the family for sure. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. We'll see you in a few hours for the Betcast right here on the Ice Guys.